What's going on, guys? It's AG here. So Christopher Nolan's newest movie, Oppenheimer, is releasing in theaters next week. So today we'll be ranking all 11 Christopher Nolan movies. Now, full disclosure, before we even get started here, every one of his movies is a great movie. He's my favorite director, for those that don't know. And for those that don't know, also, he made the Dark Knight trilogy. He made Inception, The Prestige, Dunkirk, Memento, Tenet. There's a whole bunch of movies here. So without Oppenheimer, he's made 11 movies. And really every one of them, but the one I have in 11th place, I would recommend to watch. Every one of them is a great movie almost. And like I said, he's my favorite director, no doubt. Before we get completely started, though, if you are new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And if you enjoy what you see here, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and let me know your rankings down in the comments section. So with that out of the way, let's get started. Coming in at number 11, we have Following. Probably the least known out of his movies. Not many people know this movie because it was his first movie. Also, it's not really widely released. Like, it's obviously a low budget. I think they said he just basically followed around one of his friends and they filmed that way. And you can tell here, it's probably the only movie out of his that I would say I wouldn't recommend to people. It's not a bad movie if you're into Christopher Nolan, but it is slow, it's in black and white, and it's not really worth the watch. So if you haven't seen it, don't waste your time. Alright, so number 10 we have Insomnia. Insomnia stars Robin Williams, Al Pacino, and Hilary Swank. It's a remake of another movie that is similar to this, but basically Al Pacino is a cop that doesn't sleep, so that's why it's called Insomnia. And Robin Williams is the bad guy in this one. One of his few roles, actually, where he is the bad guy. And this is an enjoyable movie, but it's not my favorite Christopher Nolan movie. You know, it's not slow by any means. Every movie, this one and moving forward, I would say I would rewatch and I would recommend for others to watch. But this one in particular is probably his weakest, in my opinion. Coming in at number 9, we have Tenet. Tenet is a bit of a confusing movie if you have seen it. Now, with it being confusing, it might require a rewatch, you know. I actually need to rewatch it after this because I'm kind of trying to remember what happened, and it's a little loopy, you know. But Tenet stars Robert Pattinson and John David Washington, and even if you are not a fan of this movie, it will keep you engaged, no doubt. Like, it's going to keep your attention the whole movie. Like, there's no question about that. And while it is confusing, it is definitely worth the watch, but one of his weaker entries. All right, so coming to number 8, we have Dunkirk. Dunkirk is basically Christopher Nolan's war movie, and it has a lot of the usual suspects here, you know what I'm saying? Tom Hardy's in this movie, Kenneth Brogdon's in this movie, a lot of the same guys as usual, and this is a good movie. It's not my favorite war movie of all time, nothing like that. It's pretty solid by the book, but a good movie nonetheless. Now, before we move on to number 7, every movie at this point forward is at least a 9 out of 10 in my opinion, a great movie. Any movie from this point forward, like I said, great movie. Go watch it if you have not. So with that being said, number 7, we have Memento. Memento, one of his lesser known movies actually. It stars Guy Pearce, and it's one of his earlier movies, but this is a good movie. Not many people have seen it that I know personally. Now, people you know may have seen it, I don't know, but people that I know have not seen it. And basically, this guy, Guy Pearce in this movie, has this mental issue where he has basically Alzheimer's almost. It's not Alzheimer's, but something like that, to where he can't remember what's going on. So he has to like write it down. And without giving anything away, because if you haven't seen it, you need to go watch it. But without giving anything away, basically, yeah, he just writes stuff down, and basically the movie is playing out to figure out what is going on, basically. Basically, there's a lot more to this guy than he remembers. And obviously, as the audience, you don't know either, but he doesn't remember it either. So the movie is basically playing out what is going down with this guy, what is going on with this guy. All right, so coming to number 6, Dark Knight Rises. Definitely the weakest in the Dark Knight trilogy, but a great close to the movie nonetheless. You have Tom Hardy as Bane here, a great addition, a great villain. And even if this is the weakest in this trilogy, that's not saying much because, you know, the other two are top tier, you know what I'm saying? You can't really beat those. So The Dark Knight Rises, as a Dark Knight fan, this is a satisfying close to the trilogy. Coming number 5, we have Interstellar. Interstellar has Matthew McConaughey in it, and basically he's trying to go to space to save the planet Earth, basically. And this is an outstanding movie. Every movie, this one onward, I would give at least a 9.5 out of 10. Like, all great movies. Like, all probably in my top 25 of all time, to be honest with you. And this one included. This is probably Christopher Nolan's most emotional film, in my opinion. That's kind of the one thing everybody always knocks him on as far as criticism is he doesn't make emotional enough characters. Well, this one has emotion. It's a great movie nonetheless. Interstellar, great movie. All right, so coming at number 4, we have The Dark Knight. I bet a lot of people thought it'd be higher on this list, but I have it number 4. The Dark Knight, one of the best superhero movies of all time. Obviously not my favorite because that one might be higher up on the list, but The Dark Knight, a great movie. Heath Ledger puts in an excellent performance here. You also bring in Harvey Dent and Two-Face in this movie, and this is just an excellent movie. The score, the movie, peak cinema. All right, so coming at number 3, we have The Prestige. The Prestige, another one of the lesser-known Christopher Nolan movies, and it stars Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman, Batman and Wolverine going at it head-to-head, and they're basically both magicians here, and they, at the beginning, work together, then they kind of slowly drift apart because of some things that happen, and so they're basically trying to one-up the other as magicians, and it's set in, I don't know, probably the early 1900s, 1800s, one of the two. Great movie. Honestly, you give me a different day, any one of these in the top 3 could fluctuate, you know what I'm saying? So all these are going to be in my top 10 of all time, this one and the 2 above it. But The Prestige is one of my favorite movies of all time. If you have not watched it, do yourself a favor, go check it out. So coming at number 2, we have Inception. Leonardo DiCaprio, Christopher Nolan, my favorite actor, my favorite director. What could go wrong? And here the answer is nothing. Because this movie, while it might be a little confusing, you know what I'm saying, for some people, it might be a whirlwind of a ride, it's a heck of a ride nonetheless. And Inception, a great concept, and here this movie does it justice. 10 out of 10, perfect movie. Then, coming at number 1, we have Batman Begins. While a lot of people might have The Dark Knight as the top of the Dark Knight trilogy, Batman Begins for me is my favorite one, my favorite superhero movie of all time. You get the backstory to Batman, you get the intro to Christian Bale's Batman story, and this is just one of my favorite movies of all time, probably in my top 3 movies of all time, and it's just an excellent watch, man. The score, the music to this movie, anytime I hear it, I have to put on Batman Begins and watch it, because as a fan, when you hear that music, it just gives you chills and makes you want to go watch the movie. But just an excellent movie nonetheless. So that's my list. Let me know your rankings down in the comment section. Oppenheimer comes out next week. I'm going to be seeing it within the next 5 days or so. And when I see it, I'll try to put out another re-ranking next week, updated with Oppenheimer. Fingers crossed it's good. It looks pretty good so far. It is 3 hours long, so I'm a little skeptical on that. But Nolan hasn't disappointed me so far, so let's hope he can keep that going. But again, if you're new here, thank you for watching. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button down below. Until next time, AG out.